This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
It's 6 p.m. I'd like to call to order the December 16th meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission. This meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission will be conducted in person and remotely online to the greatest extent possible. Should an interruption occur in which the online meeting ends abruptly, both the in-person and the online meeting will not be restarted. All agenda items will be automatically continued to the next scheduled meeting. Are there any public concerns or non-agenda items? Hearing none. Our first public hearing is abbreviating notice of resource area delineation filed by GZA. This is on behalf of Crown Meadow. This is the Holly Circle and Crestview Drive. Map 166, lots 75 through 80, 83 and 89, map 171, lots 14-1, 14-2, 15 through 22, 25, and 29. And we, last time it was continued to the 13th. Is that still?
That's
was
still
there
the case.
anything we have to
Nope.
talk about on that? Okay. All right. Our next public hearing is a notice of intent filed Berkshire Design Group on behalf of community builders. And it's for a new housing unit at 385 Main Street, map 154, lot 32-1.
And they have requested a continuance to the January 13th meeting.
Right.
With promises of a stormwater plan.
Before. All right, so can I get a motion to continue to January 13th?
I move that we continue agenda item 4B to January 13th, 2025.
Second. And we'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Buttrick. Aye. Commissioner August. Commissioner Weeks. Aye. And Commissioner Carr.
Aye.
Motion carries. Right. Request for certificates of compliance. Easthampton Solar Park, LC, 232 Park Street. Mass DEP file 151293. This is for the solar projects.
They've also requested a continuance to the 13th.
Can I get a motion to continue to the 13th?
Motion to continue Easthampton Park Solar to January 13th, 2025.
Second.
And roll call, Commissioner Buttrick. Aye. Commissioner August.
Aye.
Commissioner Weeks.
Aye.
And Commissioner Carr.
Aye.
Motion carries. What? Yes, so. We need to bring that for that one. All right.
So into enforcement action.
Into enforcement actions.
Okay. So I've got a handful of updates for the commission today. The first one is that it has been on the back burner, but I reached out to the Galls about 37 South Street.
Okay.
As far as I can tell, my understanding is that there's 2 years of monitoring of a invasives removal area that are missing, and that's what's required to close out that enforcement order. So I attempted to schedule a date with them via email for the spring to go out and do an assessment and see what the area looks like, you know, a decade later.
Yeah, because that was a while ago that I'm dealing with that.
Is that with Matt?
Yeah,
That's
we
with
all
Matt.
operate
Yeah,
rooms.
I emailed Matt and his mother, Julie. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the 476 East Street. But so the thing I want to share with the commission is the letter we sent the residents of 472 East Street. Does anyone in the commission want a refresher on where we left this from last commission's meeting? I guess for Commissioner Buttrick. Yeah.
Yeah, I read the draft minutes, so
Okay.
I kind of get the gist of it.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did, the commission did decide to send in another letter, really specifying what the jurisdictional areas were, and what the commission wants them to do in a more concise fashion, or in an additional fashion. So this is to the residents of 472. Julie, Commissioner Busa did have an opportunity to review this letter.
Okay, great.
So she gave me some edits. I incorporated them and then sent it today. Does the commission want to just have an opportunity to read it?
Sure, we should do that.
We want it larger.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Is that good?
That's good.
You make it like bigger. I was like, I'll just look it up on my phone, but then it's like, do two-factor authentication.
Oh, yeah, totally. Okay, don't think I can go a number. Yeah, I can.
That's pretty.
Is that pretty big?
That's pretty big.
Okay. Do we want slightly smaller?
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
I can actually read that.
Last sentence in that second paragraph, on what you got up there, it's a little peculiar.
Can you read it?
Plants that grow within and alongside the inland stream serve an important purpose of slowing and filtering the water as it comes into contact with the plant.
With plants, it should be plural.
Okay, with plants.
Yeah.
All right.
Is there, I didn't see anything in there about throwing their clippings over the back instead of the side.
In terms of that is what we want them to do or not.
Wasn't it? Maybe I missed it.
It was in the minutes when we talked about it
Right,
before, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Did we request them to throw their clippings in the back?
I
That we
think I
request
think we talked about in the minutes
that they could throw their grass clippings over the back, out of the back of their
as
yard,
opposed
but
to
not in the
into
swale.
into the
Okay.
swale, right?
Right. Do we think that's covered by?
Left them without any fill of grass clippings.
Yeah, that prevents them from putting it in the swale. So I guess that's all we want. We don't care if they take it away or what they do with it. They want to use it as a fertilizer or something. Want to break down compost, right? But as long as it's not in the swale, then wherever they want to put it is, I guess, okay, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So I sent this certified mail. Yeah, I sent it today, certified mail. So we should get the postcard back indicating they received it, but I didn't actually ask them for, which I think this was my understanding where the commission landed on this, that we weren't looking for necessarily a next step from them. We were just looking for them to stop. So we will see, we'll see what comes of this letter.
All right. Good.
The other update I have around 476 East Street is I did get in contact with the Fiordelises. They have agreed to do additional plantings in the spring, and when the spring rolls around, we're going to have a conversation about a nursery, and they know that they need to plant 1-inch calipers and that they need to have the number survive. They should overplant beyond the number that we're taking down in order to have the number, in order to have that many survive. Several growing seasons. So. Great.
Cool
Okay.
reference.
All right. That is what I have on 476. The next one I have an update on is just a brief update for New England Forestry Foundation, Hartnett Manhan Memorial Forest. Namely that Julie, Commissioner Busa and I have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow.
Right.
So we will have updates in the new year.
Yep. Nice.
Okay. Our newest enforcement action is 126 Lovefield Street, map 113, lot 8. The commission decided to issue a cease and desist, which we reviewed the draft of last commission's meeting.
Correct.
I will share the version that I sent. And then I believe we have a resident here to speak to it. So just to remind the commissioners, this was about the storage of metal, plastics, appliances, vehicles, being stored in the buffer zone. They'd recently moved closer to the buffer zone of an intermittent stream, swale in the back of the property of 126 Lovefield Street. And so this letter requested that they move the material outside of the buffer zone.
Okay.
So I guess prior to a resident offering their perspective here, I guess I just want to share that I've been in communication with the residents of 126, with Kelly and Eric, and we have a site visit scheduled for December 30th. They've been responsive to this letter, and the site visit. In the site visit, I'll go out there and see, find a different location for them to store their materials. So they expressed the desire to not be impacting their resource areas. So
That's good news then.
yep, that's good news. Would you like to speak to it?
Yeah. So should I, since you said that I should read the letter that I sent?
Yeah, I
should
can project
stay
it as
here or
well.
Move somewhere else in the room?
No, you're perfectly fine here. Yeah, whatever's comfortable for you.
Okay.
Would you like me to project it as well?
Whatever you want to do is fine with me.
Okay.
I live at one, can't see all of you with these on. I live at 120 Lovefield, and so the junk that they have impacts me a great deal. So this is the letter, and it's rough in a couple of places. I did it fast. So, dear commissioners, recently the owners of 126 Lovefield Street moved junk metal into the woods on an extension of their property that abuts with the back of my property. When I reached out to the city clerk for help dealing with intolerable situation, she directed me to the building department. The Conservation Commission became involved when I mentioned that the junk is near what I called wetland. As you know, Conservation Agent Ava Gerstley, I'm not sure if that's the right way to say your last name, did a site visit from my property on November 14th. Unfortunately, your meeting on December 2nd proceeded more rapidly than usual, which resulted in me arriving for the public comment opportunity after you discussed and agreed on an additional plan of action. Upon listening to the recording of the meeting, I saw that commissioners had questions I could have answered. I'm writing to fill in information about those questions provide additional detail, and voice concerns. First, a bit of history. When my wife, Margaret Arney, purchased 120 Love Field in 1994, the back line of the property abutted forest that extended to the Arcadia Wildlife Sanctuary without interruption. In 2001, some forest was cleared and a house built at 11 Clapp Street. When Kelly and Eric LaPrade purchased 126 Love Field in 2003, the extension of their property that lies between 120 Love Field and 11 Clapp remained fully forested. The intermittent stream that I originally thought was wetland runs through that extension and connects with the wetland on Clapp Street and along the old trolley line. In the spring, the water's deep enough to attract ducks. As you saw in the photograph projected by Ava at your last meeting, it's a spawning area for wood frogs and other amphibians. In normal years, the intermittent stream is wet throughout the warm weather, but I cannot discern whether it remains wet when it's under leaves. The LaPrades have made two significant changes. One was to clear cut the forest on a portion of their extension. This resulted in a large open area between the house at 11 Clapp Street and ours. Also clear cut was a path along the swale of the stream from the main part of their property to the open area. The apparent reason was to create a place for their children to ride an ATV and occasionally drive a car. The other change was to accumulate metal objects, random pieces of metal, unregistered vehicles, large objects such as appliances, a Coke machine, and much more. The focal point for the junkyard was where 120 and 126 abut behind 124. Over the years, the pile just inches from the edge of our property increased in size, and more was added to other parts of the main part of their property. Margaret and I planted red cedars, trees, and berry bushes as a visual barrier, but it yielded only minimal relief. Recently, the bad dream of living next to the junk has turned to nightmare. It began a few months ago when Kelly LaPrade came to our home to request permission to trim parts of our visual barrier that had grown over the property line. She said the request is because they were going to build a structure to store their junk. She acknowledged that we'd probably be glad to have their junk out of view. The junk pile on the shared property line was moved elsewhere in the yard. After the large structure was erected a few feet from the property line, the junk was moved again. I don't know if anything was placed inside the structure. What I do know is that a bucket loader scooped up load after load of random junk, which was dumped along the clear path, or the path clear cut years ago. Over the course of a few weeks, a line of junk has been created along the entire length of the clear cut area along the intermittent stream. The open area between 120 Love Field and 11 Clapp Street contains an old flatbed trailer, multiple 55-gallon drums, appliances, items I cannot describe, and an unregistered pickup truck filled with tires. I sent Ava photos of that truck as well as a second truck in the path that were added within 24 hours of her site visit. Since then, additional junk has been piled at the edge of the swale. There's a great deal of junk scattered in the main part of the 126 property, including a third apparently unregistered vehicle, the old RV, junk under metal awnings, and more. In addition to all of the above, repiling junk at the original focal point has begun. I realize that the Conservation Committee's responsibility is to protect sensitive land, which makes protecting the buffer zone your focus. The commission's letter to Kelly and Eric LaPrade states the commission wants to work in collaboration with them. My worry is that it will mean leaving in place anything outside the 100-foot buffer zone. If that's the case, given the slow accumulation over years, what will prevent the accumulation in the future? Who will monitor it, and how? What's in the 55-gallon drums? And what if it leaks? There's a broader issue. Most of us have been taught some version of treat others as you would have them treat you. Most would agree that ringing the property of neighbors with junk is unethical and unreasonable. There's not a single place where we can look into the back of the yard without seeing junk, and that's unreasonable. After silently putting up with the never-ending accumulation of junk for years, having the junk stretch the entire length of the back line of our property is intolerable. And so I contacted the city clerk to ask how to get help. My hope is that all of the junk will be removed from the clear-cut areas. Quite possibly the clear cutting was done illegally. And that the clear-cut areas, removed from clear-cut areas and placed in the main part of their yard, away from the intermittent stream and in their view rather than mine. My hope is that working in collaboration includes a decision that sorry, let me read that again. My hope is that working in collaboration includes a decision that includes the rights of neighbors to not have our quality of life compromised. My hope is that we will be treated as each member of the commission would want to be treated if someone ringed your property with junk. And I'd like to add a little bit to this that was written a couple of weeks ago. Since the pictures that you saw at the last meeting, the junk along the edge of the swale has filled in even more. And there's now and at that one, the pictures that you saw, the junk was in piles here and there. Now, along the swale, there's a solid wall of junk metal, the kind that they were picking up with bucket loaders and dumping. It goes all the way along the part where there's an ephemeral pool in the spring, and that's the breeding ground for wood frogs and other frogs, probably salamanders too. And so that's along the whole swale. And so that metal will prevent any frogs or salamanders that want to get into the swale and mate. They can't get there because there's a pile of metal and it's constant. After that ends, then there's a pile here and a pile there around junk cars. So, and there was that, and yeah, and just today there were deer in the swale. They walked down the swale, and we're actually in the area where the stream is foraging. So that's the little bit of additional.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your comment.
As you mentioned, our concern is the 100-foot buffer. So I don't know if there's another town requirement of you can't have a junkyard in your backyard. But I guess our concern has to be, they have to get the material out of the 100-foot buffer. If they decide to pile it around their house and you can still see it, I'm not sure we have jurisdiction over that fact. So I don't know if there's something else in a town ordinance that says you can't have a debris field in your backyard or not.
Yeah. And my concern is, I mean, they can do whatever they want in the main part of their yard, obviously. But my main concern is the extension where they clear cut part of the forest and now are filling it with junk. That, I mean, I literally can't look in my backyard without seeing.
Is that outside the 100-foot or is that?
I don't know. I don't know where the 100-foot
All right.
is.
Well, maybe when we do the site visit, we can be able to determine, we can take a quick measurement and find out where the 100-foot marker potentially is. And see what that all means.
That's exactly my plan. My
Okay.
plan is to go, and of course I invite any member of the commission that would like to join us.
Sure.
I'll bring the tape, I'll bring a few measuring tapes and a couple flags. So if the operates are willing, we'll sort of map out the 100-foot buffer zone so they have a good sense of where that is.
And this is the 30th of December.
Yeah, it's the 30th of December at 11.
And what about the cutting of the trees that happened? Was that in buffer and is that enforceable?
It is likely in buffer zone. I mean, we don't have a lot of evidence for it. It was an undetermined amount of time ago. We could
Sure.
look on historic aerials.
Do we know how long ago this cutting occurred?
No,
Yeah, okay.
It's not
I
visible
don't-
from
I
the
don't-
public road, so there's no visibility
yeah,
from.
it's hidden. It's hidden.
I could do a little looking on historic aerials
Yeah,
to
because we
try to
have,
get a
we
sense.
have a number of historic maps. Some are not, as the further you go back, the less clear they are.
Yeah. I think for small sections of cutting, like I know we tried to do this with 472, 476, and it was pretty hard to get anything of substance out of the historic aerials, but I can take a look for the last bunch of years. Was it within the last 5 years, Janice?
Oh, no, it was further back.
I thought you said in your letter like 2001.
They moved in 2003. And
So it was after that
And so,
sometime.
and so it was after that, yeah, when they moved in, it was fully forested except for what had been cut for 11 Clap Street.
Okay. Do you have a time of day for your site visit?
It's at 11 a.m.
11, okay, thanks.
And I really do understand that your mission is protecting the buffer zone. I understand that. And I hope that in the human issue of it is I can't force them, but talking to them about, people, you don't do this to neighbors. The woman knows that we're upset about it and that there might be some human unofficial persuasion or something to get them to get the junk out of just the extension, even if they leave it on my property line on the side. I've been living with it for years, but putting it where they shouldn't have even cut the forest in the first place is just wrong.
All right, well, let's look at it on the 30th and then we'll try to see what, if they seem, if they're cooperative now. I can't guarantee that they're gonna clean up their whole yard, but at least if they're
Yeah.
cooperative to get it out of the buffer zone, that may lead to some better results overall for in your view, but we'll see where it goes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I
No problem.
appreciate you listening. That was a
Sure.
long letter.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Janice. Yeah. All right, that is all I have for you on 126. And I don't have any open space updates other than to say that the mountain bikers who are engaged with Porchowski are coming next week or next meeting on the 13th.
Yes.
Yep.
How many of them? Are they bringing paddles,
Bikes.
bikes?
We may move upstairs for the number of issues. I guess one other note I'll just say about Borchowski is I'm still getting my sense of that parcel. It's large.
It's large.
A lot of spiraling trails. And I was conducting a site visit during my lunch break a couple weeks ago. And
You could be there a while.
could be there a while for sure. Hadn't seen before the jump trail. Have other commissioners seen the jump trail? Yeah. So this is something to think about. I think it's something to think about when we have them present. But there's a trail that, and I think it's been there for a while, but has changed.
Okay.
That has some pretty substantive jumps.
Well, the top part that's right behind the log cabin.
Yeah.
Function hall. The top part of that jump trail has only been put in the last 4 years.
Right. I think it's a
It was
post-COVID. Yeah.
And there's a whole trail that they made through the woods that wasn't there before.
Right. And there are so many trails
Sure.
at Borchowski. I think that is going to be an interesting part of how the commission chooses to conserve it. Does the commission want to see some quick images of the jump trail? Or should we save that for?
Well, there's no real good map of all these trails, right?
No,
It's
but
kind of,
right. That's true.
And I think I said this before, they kind of like have leaf blown all the leaves off the trails, which is
Right.
understandable from a mountain biking perspective because the leaves are slippery.
But from an erosion
But
perspective.
from an erosion
yeah.
perspective, it's
Yeah.
not slippery.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's just gonna be, I apologize, I didn't have these ready to go. I think it's just gonna be something for the commission to think about how we wanna manage the site moving forward.
Wasn't there natural heritage sections of that area?
much.
Because that's, after the microburst, they wanted to go in and clean things up, and we had issues with, natural heritage boundaries.
The whole area is natural heritage.
Right? So I
Yeah.
thought it was a certain section of it was.
Yeah,
Was cats? 1016 you're looking at?
no, I just pulled them up. I apologize. I haven't actually uploaded them to the drive yet, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we can,
we can just
you
take a
get
look.
organized. We can do it on the 13th when we have
Yeah,
everyone here who actually knows what the trails look like. And
totally. I mean, we can just glance through them real quick.
Okay.
Do you want to? or-
sure, if it's doesn't make you crazy trying to find them.
No. They're all right here. I just haven't uploaded them to the
All right.
drive. They're just on my computer. But so I accessed it from the log cabin.
Sure.
I had
that's
been
the easiest,
accessing it.
yeah.
I had been accessing it down from by Bernie Ave, but I
Okay.
accessed it from the log cabin. So these are the trails that
Mhm.
Commissioner Carr is talking about. They're often leaf blown. With berms or like a decking tool. So I think from my perspective, these trails look, despite the leaf blown, like relatively non-invasive, like about as invasive as a hiking trail.
Mhm.
Those ones don't. They have some that are much wider.
Right. There did used to be like carriage paths through there. There's some old roads through there. So some of the wider trails were pre-existing.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen old cars.
Right.
I think, I don't know what year this property was purchased. I think it was the early 2000s or something like that. And the mountain bike use goes back right to the very beginning. I don't know if that was part of the intention for the purchase, but it was certainly an activity that's
Been going on forever.
exactly, yes.
Yeah.
The city purchased it.
The city purchased it.
Yep.
I mean, my personal perspective here is that changing the land use of this parcel shouldn't really be on the table. Like this should remain. This is a mountain biking parcel.
Yep.
And should remain a mountain biking parcel. This is an example of an intermittent stream that was wet when I visited it December 3rd. That bikes have been rolling through. So this would be an example maybe of an improvement that the commission could consider.
Right.
A
They
bridge here.
wanted to build bridges in some areas, right? They wanted
Right.
to build things like that.
Right. Here's an example though. So now we're into this wider jump trail. This was a place where there was a big site of erosion. Trail that's a little wider. So these are what the jumps look like.
Okay.
So honestly, it was this stuff that caused me the most concern.
Was that brought in?
No. So let me rotate that. So here's where they dug it
Oh,
from.
they got it locally. Okay.
So they got it from right next to it. These are like
Sure,
right next to
okay.
each other. This is like a little bit over here. So from a natural heritage perspective, like
Sure.
I don't,
That's a-
yeah, it's not in a resource, not in a wetland resource area, but this isn't great trail building practice to
Mhm.
leave a big
Right.
hole.
Here it is, yeah.
Oh yeah,
You can turtle head,
yeah, right.
right.
Yeah, habitat.
yeah.
Yeah. Garrett, would you like to speak?
He's muted.
Sure. So, can you hear me?
Yep. Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you.
Sorry.
No.
So there was a grant in 1999 for the Borkowski purchase. It was not, I worked on it with Peter Borkowski. It was not intended to be a mountain bike park. I don't know how much use there was before that time in terms of mountain bikes. But for a while, New England Mountain Bike Association was designing trails there, and they have a fairly decent reputation in terms of responsible best practices. As someone who put effort into preserving that as habitat and for passive recreation, I have to say I find this pretty appalling. I'm not surprised, but it's pretty appalling.
It does seem like the intensity of use and
You know, the city.
I was gonna say, Garrett, it does seem like the intensity of use has changed and the amount of work being put into it, you know. But it's hard to say who the people are involved, you know, when it's like just kind of
Yeah.
happening.
Garrett, I think you're cutting it.
I think it's a very different.
Gary, you're
So I
breaking.
think there are two different kind of mountain biking uses. So I have a pretty bad connection.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit on us.
I think there's use that uses the natural terrain, and bicyclists enjoy going over the natural terrain. And then there's stuff like this where you're building jumps and you're from their perspective enhancing the experience. I don't think that the latter is appropriate in an area like this. I will say that the city has never done other kinds of trail development there or had active stewardship. So it's not particularly surprising that this is occurring. And that's on me as much as anybody else.
Thank you, Garrett.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the original, so the vision in 2020, when former city planner Jeff Bagg applied for this trail grant with some of the folks who we're going to be seeing at the next commission meeting, the vision was to basically put a bunch of city money and grant money into developing like one fluid uphill trail, because this is like an uphill downhill section, and then one or two downhill trails, and then essentially try to decommission most of the other trails on the
But ramps and
parcel.
things were not part of that.
As far as
original
no,
plan.
ramps were
Yeah,
not
I
part of that.
don't know.
And I think it's something that the commission should bring up with the mountain bikers next week.
Sure.
Next meeting. Yeah, I think it's, and I imagine that many of them would agree that there are uses, there are
Mhm.
usages for mountain bikes with the parcel here that are more and less,
Okay.
heavy impact. So,
So in terms of things coming up for the 13th of January.
Yeah.
Are we pretty much fully in listen mode, or are we sort of edging towards making a request of, gee, it would be nice if you guys would do things?
So I don't think we have, my assessment or my guess would be that we don't have specific requests for these,
Right,
3 or
okay,
4 people that are going to come. This isn't natural. This isn't wetland jurisdictional, right? So there isn't
Oh, okay.
possibility for like an enforcement action here.
Yeah.
Enforcing against ourselves anyway.
Right. We're the landowner,
Got it. Okay.
right?
We could do probably, but I don't know if it's ever been done before.
Yeah. So, but this isn't jurisdictional.
Yeah.
There are some small jurisdictional threads that run through here. But I don't think those are sort of the main objects of concern. I think we really are gonna be mostly in listen
Sure,
mode
okay,
and questions,
okay, yep.
thinking about next steps.
What about the natural heritage part of things?
We don't enforce natural heritage except when it's on a project, right?
Right.
Natural heritage can enforce it.
Natural
Heritage
heritage can enforce it,
Can
yes.
certainly step in.
Against us.
Yes, they could.
They could step in against us.
And
Probably.
could we alert them to that? They ask for their help.
We
Would that
could.
give us any more power to make requests?
Well, I don't, again, like we're the landowner here, right? And there's not an organized group that's committing the violations, or I wouldn't even say violations yet. It's too soon to say that. That's moving land here,
So we can
You know,
talk to the group that's
acting-
gonna come in on the 13th and they say, oh yeah, that we'll stop doing this, we'll stop doing that. And then someone else could go in there and do
right.
whatever they want because it's
Yeah.
not really under any kind of control.
My recommendation too would be to take a tone of more inquiry. This was
Sure.
part of the reason I thought it actually might be good for the
Okay,
commission
yeah.
to see these photos now, just so
Sure, okay.
so we're not coming in from like a, hey,
Okay.
we hate this trail. Cause I will say this is one particular trail, that is up close to the log cabin that Commissioner Carr has seen. This parcel has many trails,
Sure.
most of which look somewhat similar to a hiking trail with some berms on them that are like single track, lower
And the
impact.
berms was naturally created by bikes racing around corners, probably. Not-
Yeah, or
out.
they build them, but they're pretty minimal.
Okay.
Ultimately, it would be, since has been informal for so long, it would be nice to like organize a deputized committee, like we have the garden subcommittee to monitor like the Borchesky parcel stewardship committee that is people who are interested in this parcel and know the parcel and would like to, be able to continue using it, and they could know the rules and, like bust people's kneecaps when they build jumps and whatever,
That could certainly be an approach. A
Yeah.
lot of other conservation commissions have a stewardship committee,
Yeah.
have names of stewardship volunteers.
Yeah.
That's common in other places in the state.
Is Rich LeBombard one of the people involved with, okay, because
Yes.
he was involved with when they wanted to clean up after the microburst. So he's
Yeah.
certainly been involved with this property for a long time.
Right. And the commission does have about $20,000 of CPA funds set aside for this, which I think there's a number that money could go pretty fast for a variety of small projects, like some small bridges. The large bridge too, down by Bernie Ave, where a lot of people access the property that crosses the brook there, is also pretty, it's getting there. It's a little bouncy,
Mhm.
not in a way you want it to be bouncy,
Yeah.
a little rutted. So, but CPA has funds for things like this too. So, and they haven't applied this parcel hasn't applied in many years. So
Correct.
I haven't been there and I wouldn't mind a chance to go walk around. What's the access there?
yeah, so there's two access points, one of which is, the lead, like I would say, so this is off of, you can park on Bernie Ave and you cross Hendrick Street there. And there's a sign that says this parcel is owned by Easthampton Conservation Commission, and you follow like right down, past someone's house. It kind of looks like you're walking through their backyard. I can show it on the GIS map real quick. It's not what we're looking for. So the parcel's back here.
There you go.
And so you park here, Commissioner Weeks, on Bernie.
Yep. Are these ramps closer to the top of the mountain or the bottom?
Yeah, for sure.
So
So,
it's maybe better to park at the log cabin. and
right,
go
so
down.
then the other option is to park up in the log cabin's parking lot, which is a private parking lot, just to say for the record, it's a private parking lot.
But the lower parking lot is pretty
Okay.
isolated.
Yeah, there's like 3 levels
Yeah.
of parking there, and if you go to the very
lowest,
top
yeah.
level,
So when you say log cabin, I guess I'm not familiar with that.
Well,
It's
the-
a function hall.
It's a function.
At the top of 141, like across.
Tavern on the Hill, next to
Oh,
Tavern on the Hill.
okay, so I know exactly where you're talking
Sure.
about.
So it's their, this is their like this is their bottom parking lot.
Yep.
If you're visiting the vernal pool, that's where you are.
Okay.
Then this is their like primary parking lot and this is their upper parking lot, which
Yeah,
is where folks typically park. But again, it's private property.
Right.
So if I were gonna park in that lower parking lot.
You would probably park in the upper one up
Oh,
here.
okay.
And then there's trail access up
Let's
here.
go on hike.
And if you're during the daytime, there's,
Yeah,
it's a function space. There's not usually anyone there during a weekday.
Right, okay.
And so Borchowski parcel itself is this one right here. There's some wacky land ownership of this. So this is Borchowski parcel.
Hmm.
This one is private property. You all see my cursor fine? Yeah, this one's private property. This one is water
Department for the.
Yeah, which technically does not have public access, though there's trails that go through it.
Sure.
This is the Hendrick Street well field
Mhm.
where there's a gate. It's like the water spot. That is also private property. So this is water property. This is Borchowski parcel. And then this is private property. But this one is Easthampton Town Forest, also run by the commission.
Okay.
As is this one.
So are there trails on that property also?
Yes,
Like,
actually,
mountain bike trails or
maybe
just
not that
hiking
one.
trails?
Mountain bike trails. So the mountain bike trails are really all the
Everything.
property lines are not
Some kind.
decipherable. Yep, they are just one. They're one unit. And you'll get pretty turned around there, but you can just go up and down.
Mhm.
It's because it's really on the side of the hill. But I'm also happy to meet if any commissioner wants to do a site visit during the workday. I'm happy to meet any of you out there. I'm still getting my lay of the land there. It feels like
Mhm.
lots of-
It'll take a while, probably.
yeah.
Once
So-
I can.
So how large is the Borchowski?
So the
parcel?
actual Borchowski parcel itself here, I think it will tell us, right?
Yeah, it should tell you.
It's 72 acres, 73 acres.
I thought that parcel right to the south, I thought that was purchased to the south, the other.
This way,
south.
yes.
The
That was-
forest.
Yeah, I thought, for some reason, I thought that had different, even though it's city owned, I thought it had different use restrictions on it that also didn't allow trails. I could be wrong though.
I can look into that and
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
confirm.
I don't remember that.
For those.
I thought this one was, but I don't think it actually is. Oh, this is also town forest. It's quite the maze of parcels
Sure,
up here.
sure.
Yep.
So, another thing that just for the commission, we'll discuss this all more on the 13th, but is trail signs, given how crazy the parcel, how like windy these trails are. I think a couple trail signs, couple blazes. This is the red trail. This is the yellow trail.
Okay.
Could go a long way.
Sure, okay.
And also could go a long way towards keeping people on the trails we want them to be on and keeping them off the trails that we don't want them
Alright.
to be on.
Well, let's see how what they have to say on the 13th.
So we're only gonna talk about Borchowski parcel, not that other forested parcel that has trails.
I suspect they're gonna speak to the, what they see
The
as
whole-
mountain bike usage
The
in the
whole map
region.
of trails,
Yeah,
whether they cross Borchowski or others.
right.
The term Borchowski parcel generally refers to the whole
Well, it's
thing.
the whole
When
piece.
people are talking, I think.
That's
Yeah,
my
okay,
understanding as
that
well.
makes sense. Right,
All right. And we're outside of the primary natural heritage season too. Not that any active construction will be happening. Okay. Oh, do you want to?
no, that's fine.
Okay, so we're moving down into compliance updates. The first one I have an update for you is, H 6973 Loudville Road. This, we received. detail of the stone that's placed on the infiltration basin. Yes, we requested this. So this was sent to me today from their engineer. And he requested that I communicate to the commission.
No, just blow it up.
Oh, make it bigger?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That very top marking above the 3/4 inch stone.
It's just 3 inches. I think it's the thickness of the
The
crushed or the
stones.
stone.
Got it.
So what he requested I communicate to the commission, he says, in his own words, there are just a few points I'd like to reinforce regarding the stone on the slopes. The stone does not impact the functionality of the basin as the stone is porous and allows the water to contact the native material. The developer was not trying to avoid placing loam and seed as the purchase and installation of stone was significantly more costly than loam and seed. Lastly, I want to emphasize that most of the stone is located outside of any jurisdictional area. Prior to the next meeting, I can update the long-term operations and maintenance plan to reflect upon the stone upon the slopes, and incorporate it into the ongoing maintenance of the basin. Thank you for your understanding and assistance. So the note I have in here is that the commission will discuss, and I've said this to him several times, that the commission and the developer will discuss the timing of the removal of the stones at the April 28th, 2025 meeting, when the commission, suspects it may be time to, maybe ready to loam and seed those slopes. Is the commission satisfied with the stone slope detail until then?
Sure. Shouldn't make any difference. I mean, nothing's gonna grow. If we pull the stone out of there now, it's just gonna be an erosion problem. So we're better off waiting until
Right.
April where we have.
Yeah, commission.
What did you, when you asked for that detail, what you bring in?
Just to know what they put there exactly, more or less, I think it was, just so we
We
had
didn't know
like
if it was 8 inches thick or
a record.
1 inch thick.
Yeah,
So did they carve earth out and place the stones in? Cause it looks like it comes down, comes out. You know what I mean? It's not on top, it's down and within.
Yeah, I don't think they cut it as sharp as the drawing is. I
Well,
think,
right,
I
right.
think they just kind of removed the material. And
So they removed
stone.
material and then placed it. Okay, I thought it was just directly on top.
It's kind of hard to tell when you're
Yeah.
out there.
Or they put the
Yeah.
stone down and then filled in up to the stone with
Oh.
topsoil or something like that. But yeah, it's just gonna
And
be
the
hard to
basin
tell.
is, yeah, it's not shown here, but the basin is like a sandy
yeah.
quartz material.
And it doesn't matter what type of stone, because we're gonna ask to have it removed. Does it matter?
No,
It's 3/4 inch stone is probably
Yeah.
standard
Okay.
filled. Yeah.
You want lemon seed?
We did receive a public comment from Erin Johnson, who's the HOA president, who came to speak about the fertilizers in the buffer zone.
Okay.
She emailed me that she said, we remain concerned about the stability of the slope where the secondary basin is concerned alongside building 14 Stepler Circle. Craig recently installed a fence to prevent people falling down the slope during the installation. The fence builder expressed a concern about the stability. He warned us to keep a close eye on it to see if it begins to recede. Our feeling is that more should be done to stabilize that slope.
This is this slope?
I think it's a different basin, the secondary basin. So I can go take a look. I guess I'm wondering, we received this comment from this public comment. We are not yet close to closing this out. I think this is something
Yeah.
we'll visit when we close it
Sure,
out,
yeah.
or the next time I go out to the site. Yeah,
I think the slope they're expressing concern over is the one that goes steeply down towards the river.
I think it's a different basin, the one that's like more,
Well, it's not this basin.
I don't think it's this
No,
basin.
I agree with that.
The
Right.
one where the outlet for the pipe is?
Yes,
Yeah,
I think that it's that basin.
okay.
Would the commission like me to go take a look for the next meeting?
Sure. I
Okay.
mean, then we should understand what the discussion is here.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's all I have. Yep. The next one I have is 99 Mount Tom Ave, for Terry Street. K, is that K on yours?
Says K on our
Yeah.
detail sheet.
Garrett's back. We're almost back. Hi, Garrett.
Sorry about that.
No worries. We were just about to talk about Cherry Street, so that's great. So I have been in communications with Garrett and Tom Lotzenheiser and Marty, all of PCT, about the invasives in the outfall on Cherry Street, which is on Pascomic's property, their Brickyard Brook Conservation Area.
Okay.
So I think as we discussed at the beginning of December, there's sort of two pieces here. There's does the commission believe that there is enough invasives monitoring, that the invasives monitoring has been sufficient within the limit of work for the city to close this project out? And can we support Pascomic doing invasives management within the larger parcel? What we spoke about on December 2nd is that there's substantial invasives, particularly burning bush and Norway maples, outside of the limit of work of the Cherry Street outfall. So SWCA did some invasives. They did two sessions of invasives removal, I think maybe 3. And in their last implementation, they surveyed, and this was in August of 2023, and they stated that they think the invasives have been taken care of and that this is the last visit needed. City's closed out this project. City doesn't have any more funding on this project. But Lotzenheiser continued to survey the outfall and noted invasive species within the limit of work and outside of the limit of work in November of 2023 and June of 2024. So as I said, two questions on the table. Would the commission like any more invasives removal done within the outfall prior to issuing a certificate of compliance, which is likely forthcoming this spring from the city DPW? A request for a certificate of compliance? Or would the commission like anything additional done for invasives removal? Or is this commission willing to take the SWCA?
Well, do we want to wait till the spring to take one last look at it before we make a decision? Because right now, if we go out there, we're not going to see,
Much.
much of what's going on.
Yeah, that seems possible. And I will say DPW did, when I spoke with the city engineer, she suggested that with some guidance, perhaps that DPW would likely could do a single treatment out there, like a final treatment. But invasives monitoring, control of invasive species within the limit of work is, one of our classic in perpetuity conditions.
Correct.
So how does that work? If the city closes out the project and there's no more funding, how is it in perpetuity condition?
It could be part of a maintenance plan that they have to maintain going forward.
Okay. And what was SWCA? What is that?
They were the subcontractor contracted to do invasive removal. And not just at the outfall too. There was invasives along, because you remember it was a whole street, right? So they did that.
Okay. So DPW then would be the people who are
That would do the
applying the O&M plan.
Right. I'm not sure that DPW would be, there's not a lot of, my understanding is that there's not, I'm not sure there's anyone on their staff in a labor position who has an understanding of what is an invasive species and what isn't an invasive species. So that's why I think my understanding is they would agree to like a 1 year or like a one-off treatment.
Okay.
But not a reoccurring treatment.
And then we're still left with an in perpetuity condition with nobody to fix it.
Right. How has the commission handled this with city projects before?
I don't know if we've had any. I think don't know if we started doing that particular condition relatively late in
Right.
our history.
But doesn't the DPW have to deal with like not weed along roadsides all the time?
And they just mow it once it's seeded
Just
out,
mow it.
spread it.
Yeah, so it doesn't, it's not a
Yeah,
good solution.
it's hard.
It's, you can't.
And I think,
Yeah.
Garrett, do you want to speak to the broader plan for invasives management in this conservation area?
As much as I can. First, a clarification that Piscomic doesn't own this part of the conservation area. We have an easement.
Thank you.
It belongs to one of the board members who donated the easement. So as to the future plans, we've been trying to get a contractor to do more extensive invasives management at several of the conservation areas for 3 years now, I think. So as Evo pointed out, there are a lot of invasives outside the project area. So doing extensive control work is kind of pushing a rock uphill. But we are hoping, and Marty Klein has secured a Natural Resources Conservation Service grant to do invasives management here, at least in the conservation area, and at several other conservation areas. But this would be one of the first sites. But that's probably late next summer, just in terms of the realities of finding a contractor and getting everything rolling. I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Yeah, that was helpful. Thank you, Garrett. Yeah,
That's good to know, Garrett.
Is there,
go ahead.
this is a little bit off topic from this particular parcel, but I'm curious if like the bees committee could help there be somebody on the city staff that would have some training in identifying and removing invasive species.
I mean, I certainly can do that. I can do manual removal, right? I don't have a licensed pesticide applicator license. So if the commission is looking for herbicide treatment of invasives, that's not within my purview. But I mean, I think that's certainly, that could be something I do on this parcel. It's small. It's not very large. I can pull up the site
Is
plan.
it our parcel?
No, it's Piscomics, but it was the city's project. It wasn't Conservation Commission's project though, right?
It's not like an open space that the Conservation Commission has in their purview.
So it was a repair of a street.
Right.
So, I mean, isn't that
Infrastructure
a
in the
little bit
street.
outside of your job description?
Perhaps.
Yes, I would say, yes, don't get involved. Don't volunteer for that.
But it does seem like there's invasive species all over the city. It seems like
Right.
many on the city staff should get trained in it. I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, I don't know, how that would all work.
They just have a citywide, like, invasives map with a, or like a, an invasive reporting app. You can report it and then come up with, have a contract with a citywide contract to do invasives treatment. But yeah, but it seems like a tiny little, I mean, it seems like
This is,
focusing on, if we were to focus on invasive issues,
we got bigger
there may
problems.
be
than
better,
this. Yeah,
there is the focus on.
there's bigger problems than this little tiny
Right. And I
corner.
I think the commission decided, like, PCT agreed to monitor in this correspondence I found from 2021, but there wasn't a plan for
Okay.
additional removal
Yeah.
beyond the city's contract. I don't think that was ever decided. Garrett, did you want to speak to this?
I was just going to say that obviously invasives are a huge problem for open space, including in a lot of really sensitive areas. And as Piscomic struggle to try and find a contractor, evidence is it's there aren't a lot of people doing it. It's expensive work. And it would be fabulous. It would be fabulous if the city was interested in working with us and with other land trusts and, you know, other towns to try and develop that capability. And I do think it probably would be great if somebody on the city staff had that capability. It does take a bit of work to get there, but you could always work after hours and make money doing it.
Thank you, Garrett. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Just to be clear, I fully agree with that. And it's definitely something I am, you know, eager to suggest to see if there's someone else within the city or potentially actually extending my own position, my own training. We'll see. But it's not immediate.
Sure, right.
But it would be great to have someone in house. Garrett, I was going to speak to Tom about this tomorrow, but the invasives management person that the city has worked with or has discussed with before is Matt Burson, who does seem to have some availability and a possibility for invasives removal, someone to contact. But I'll talk to Tom about him tomorrow as well.
Yep.
He's the one doing the River Valley.
Great. Yeah, and he's local, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, and a quick responder. He's the one doing the River Valley basins. Yeah.
JP is working on getting some in city staff invasives, you know, capability, technical experience capability. I don't think it's happened yet, but it's something that the city planner has been trying to do for a few years now. So I don't know.
Yeah.
If I hear anything, I'll let you know, or if you know anybody over there, like,
Yeah, please do.
ask them what's happening.
Yeah, I know the planning director and Chickpea.
Yeah,
See, yeah.
yeah,
Contact him.
yeah. They were frustrated with like how when it comes to maintaining like open space, it's like basically mow it
Mow it.
or, you know,
Right.
or let it go.
Right.
And they're trying to change that.
Well, and I think it is an interesting, like certainly we have someone in staff in the city, I don't know exactly who, but who has a licensed pesticide applicator license, right? Or is a licensed pesticide applicator, but they don't have the knowledge of invasive species.
Yep.
So,
Right.
and I certainly have involved with knowledge of invasive species, but I don't have a licensed pesticide applicator.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not licensed pesticide. So,
You know, the Wetland Protection
Some
Act
stuff you don't even
exemption
need
too
to
for,
have a license.
I think on your own property, I don't,
Oh, okay.
I don't think there's pesticides that you can apply on your own property.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, so the commission wants to wait until the spring,
Sure, I think.
do another monitoring.
To see what it looks like in April or something like that and make a decision on what we should be doing. And
Okay. Yep, there's no rush, just thought that's
All
great.
the, when do the Norway maple little helicopters?
Right, I mean, the fun thing about
Later
invasives
in
is that
the
they're
year.
always the earliest, right? You can spot them nice and early.
I think they come out April.
Right, right.
Good to do
yeah, I
it.
don't think they're viable then though, but you can start to see them happening.
Don't we want to kill the trees before they create it?
Okay, moving down the line, L 50 Florence. Julie Commissioner Boozer requested that I investigate under the NIPD's permit, within 24 hours of a major snow melt. It's actually somewhat vague, but they expect a stormwater report within 24 hours if a project is not paused for the winter.
So we're saying a 1/4 inch of rainfall or greater or
Or what they call it is a major snow
snow
melt.
melts.
That's major.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's big. Like
I-
old major, like when we used to get 3 feet of snow, or
I mean,
now when we get 3
I
inches.
think that most projects pause for the winter. Do you have a sense of this from the profession?
no,
I think this is a serious moving target that,
Yeah,
you know, we could go round and round and round and never resolve.
Right. Okay. That's all I got on 50 Florence. Tasty Top, just a quick update.
Sure.
We received $5,000 from Frank Emeritus, to be held in escrow. A reminder that the full contract amount is for $81,000. The city is navigating how to move forward.
Is he taking some actions again with the city?
He wants to pay it in segments.
Oh,
Which unclear what the timeline is. The city won't sign a contract that when we don't have those funds in escrow
Right,
yet.
because then we're liable for it, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm looking forward to collaborating with the new planning director,
Okay.
on this, to have a more unified plan moving
The
forward.
nice lady who introduced herself.
Yes,
Oh,
yep,
she's gonna love us.
Allison Manuel, yep, my first one-on-one with her today, she got up to date on Tasty Top.
I missed the, what's her name?
Her name is Allison Manuel. She comes to us as the previous planning director of West Springfield. And she's our new full-time planning director. And we're very happy to have her. And yep, we'll be collaborating with the planning director, the city attorney, everyone upstairs on how to proceed.
Yep.
But for now,
you're down in the water. So to speak. No pun intended.
We talked about, like a kind of a agreement to pay, like half and then like keep up
right.
with, I don't remember where that happened. But so are we running under the assumption that that's still good with us, or just
I
now
think-
that it's all kind of been redone? We're starting to,
So,
I guess, I don't know.
right, no, it's a
Just
great
wanna know
question.
what's the
I think that was
target.
discussed at a meeting in July.
Yep.
With Cassie.
Yep.
My understanding is that, so we currently have this contract with Weston and Sampson that the city won't, for $81,000 that
Yep.
the city won't sign. So if Frank decides to, the Weston and Sampson is not gonna write us a $5,000 contract,
Right.
right,
That's
for a month? Right, it's hard to estimate
Yeah, I
exactly
if-
how
if-
much, but
If we
for
had half
one
the- if we had
invoice.
half the money, they might say, okay, we'll cover
Exactly.
these items that'll get us, to
Right.
some point.
Right, so I guess that's a good question, Commissioner Buttrick, like if we get to a place where we have a substantial amount of money that's not the full $81,000, is the commission open to a reworking, if Weston and Sampson is amenable to a less than a full year contract for the first chunk of funds?
Is there a date the proposal from Weston Sampson was good for?
I don't remember.
We gave them like, okay, we want you to write this off of assuming 75 stormwater reports for the first year. It was assumed to be a year of reporting. Is that the question you're asking?
No, but is there, if we don't execute this contract with them in 30
Oh.
days, does the quote go throw out? Get thrown out?
Yes, technically. I think we're gonna pass that based on Frank's actions.
But is it 30 days? I mean, I've gotten proposals for work done on my house where they give you like a year.
I think it's 30 days. I can pull the
But
contract.
they may,
Yeah, they might.
that could be the generic
Right.
boilerplate number that they use to protect themselves, and they may be willing to, work with us on it, but.
I would not be concerned at this particular moment in time that Weston and Sampson is gonna pull out of this.
Okay.
We also do have we received three other proposals.
Right.
That may be nuts.
But the real sticking point is likely going to be the principle of the development unwillingness to,
Right.
really put a significant fraction of the necessary funds in.
No pre-construction meeting can occur, which will include whoever our consultant is. Well, excuse me, Weston and Sampson.
Weston
Will
and
include
Sampson.
Weston and Sampson, myself, any commissioner that would like to be there, and then also, of course, the
Mhm.
developer.
Yeah.
And that can't occur until we receive the funds.
Yeah. So my recollection of the thought process was if we had, like, we would sign the contract for the whole thing, and then if we had half that we were holding in escrow, that way we could ask for more fast enough. So that if we didn't get more, we could just tell we could tell Weston Sampson, like, you're gonna have to stop,
Right.
But
This
now
is
that,
too small to
yeah,
do anything with.
but now that I'm thinking about it, since like the people upstairs are all talking about it, they may want to have the whole thing in hand. I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is like, I'm fine with whatever. Whatever the city
Yeah.
will think, you know.
Let's
Right,
see
my-
where that goes.
I think that conversation in July, right, was not made discussing the people who handled the city's finances.
Right.
Right.
Because it was a preliminary conversation
Sure,
that didn't
right.
progress past
Yep.
the hearing. So,
Yep.
my understanding is that the auditor will not sign a contract
That
for
makes
funds
sense,
that are larger than what the
Sure.
commission has held in escrow.
Yes, okay.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Are you there for a particular property? Observing.
I'm here to potentially join the commission.
And we haven't scared away.
Hey, there's still time to run.
You can have my spot.
That's not how it works.
We have a vacancy. We have a vacancy. Commissioners, we have a vacancy. All right, Easthampton Housing Authority, Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Weeks and I conducted, what was sort of it was the first of 2 pre-construction
Yeah.
site visits. This one is only for tree removal, but the stump removal is gonna occur at after the second pre-construction meeting, in the spring. So they're just taking the trees down. They're gonna let me know when they've done it. They installed straw wattles around the base. They had the limit of work flagged. They had the wetlands flagged. Everything looked ready to go for the tree removal. The stumper,
Sorry, that'd be minimal disturbance until they start removing the stumps, and that's we'll have a second chance to look at it.
shouldn't be a substantial ground disturbance. Particularly if they do it when the ground is frozen.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Little frozen now, or was.
Right. Do the commissioners want to see these images or have any questions about it? Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
yeah.
So this is the kind of the edge, the edge closest to, what is that, East Street? No, not East Street,
Not East Street.
141, what's the street called? It's Cottage Street.
141 in that stretch is Holyoke Street.
Holyoke Street.
Holyoke Street, thank you, thank you.
Possible to keep track of that street.
It goes from Cottage Street to Holyoke Street to 141, is that how it goes? Tim Ballard.
Well, no, it's 141 the whole way, and then it's
Sure.
what the name is.
Cottage
yes,
to
right.
Holyoke to,
Don't forget Union Street.
Don't confuse.
okay, okay,
And then you
Okay.
start going uphill and it's Mountain Road.
right.
Union, Cottage, Holyoke, Mountain Road.
Right.
Stupid.
So we're all within, it's all 141,
Say that
so
out
we're
loud.
within, we're within the limit of work here, so all of these trees are coming down. Commissioner August and I spoke about this, so this is basically what the parking lot will be. It will take, they're paving a little forested stretch here. I can pull up the plans as well, just for not taking a large copy of it.
They're putting in what, one basin?
They're putting in one basin, yep. So all of these ones are coming down.
What are they doing? Soon, right?
Yeah, the next couple weeks, the tree removal.
All those critters that live in those trees. In these homes.
And then this is down here by the brook. This is Brickyard Brook. And so they have a long, narrow, let me pull the plans up just so we can take a look.
Don't hurt bats when you're doing it this time of year though.
Just squirrels. That's all I saw was squirrels.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Squirrels
There's
bounce.
a lot of other things. Cause you can't see them.
So we have 2 federally listed endangered species of bats in Massachusetts now.
Do the bats go somewhere in the winter?
They hibernate in caves and such, but during the summer and spring and everything, they can hide under the bark of trees and stuff like that.
But this is a good time of year.
Yeah.
Nice. So, this is the main area where they're gonna remove and dispose of the trees and eventually the stumps as well. This is what the parking lot's gonna look like. So one parking lot and another parking lot. And then this is the like narrow strip where they're gonna have their pipe drain to drain into Brickyard Brook.
Yeah.
So this is a narrow stretch. And this is all remaining forested on the sides of it. And I believe we saw 2 trees that were gonna be removed
Yeah, there
within
was
this
one large
section.
one that the tree center is not where they're digging the pipe, but the root systems, they're gonna compromise the root system enough where they're probably gonna have to take that tree out.
We checked the wetland flagging, it was flagged.
Mhm.
So Courtney. It's surprising to me that Brickyard Brook is classified as an intermittent stream.
Have we ever seen that dry?
I haven't seen it at all.
Never seen it. No, I'm just saying,
It's-
in its,
I've seen it dry in the last 6 years.
yeah.
Things
I'm
to
just
think
saying,
about
any
for our
other
upcoming
location-
yeah.
ordinance,
Even other locations, it's
reclassification
not
of
really
the perennial versus intermittent streams in Easthampton.
So is it intermittent at this location or is it
It is, yep.
That's how it's classified, but
interesting? I mean, it's,
we're in the middle of a drought and
And it was
full of
flowing.
water,
Yeah.
flowing, so.
And flow too, not just
Before
flowing water.
heavy rains that we just had.
So, given that there's gonna be minimal ground disturbance, the wattle is almost, more serving as the limit of work in a lot of ways for this. For the tree removal. And there will be another pre-construction. So here we're standing where the basin will be. So it'll be back here. Again, this is Holyoke Street, back here by that house. And the basin will almost come right up to the fence line.
And where's the stream?
The stream is, hold on, I can pull the map back up.
Like from that picture though, what direction?
The stream is like this way. It's this way.
Okay.
Yeah, Holyoke Street. This is pretty close to the top of the property or the west side of the property. Here, we'll show this one. So we are standing right here along what will be the basin. The Brickyard Brook is down here. And Holyoke Street is over
Out
here,
there somewhere.
out there,
Yeah.
this way. That's the DP file number. Commissioners have any questions? Oh, one thing, they didn't have the buffer zone flagged, so that's something they'll need to have flagged for their next pre-construction meeting. A lot of these trees are not within the buffer zone, like most of their parking lots should
Sure.
come. It's primarily just the pipe that'll go to the outfall that's
Correct.
within the buffer zone, but
Right.
the edge of the parking lot will be within the
Right.
buffer zone.
So I did have a question. So you said no stump removal, and then the second meeting, you're gonna discuss stump removal.
Well, they're gonna remove the stumps along the area where where they're gonna put the parking lot. Well, all the stumps will be removed. I think all the trees that they're taking down, those stumps will be removed.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. But they're gonna take the trees down first and then stop.
Mhm.
And they'll have to come back to us when they do the stump removal so we can make sure we have proper erosions protection in place. So we get another shot at it to look at it.
Okay.
Okay. The next one I have, the last one I have is 109 Everett Street S. Okay. So they seeded those piles on November 19th. It got cold.
And it got cold.
They
water them in.
watered them in. It got cold like November 20th.
It got right away. So I drove by
Um,
there today. The snow was still on it, so I couldn't, you could see the tufts of the weeds sticking out, but you couldn't tell if
There's
anything was
no-
growing.
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen no
You go
sprouting
by the
from
road.
the seeding.
No, I haven't either. I've been out there.
The silt fence is holding up.
The silt fence is holding up. A reminder for the commission that this whole site is like below the surrounding. They're like dug in a good couple feet.
Yeah.
The concern of the commission was wind erosion. I don't think any sediment is going to leave via the ground, via stormwater for this site.
As long as the ground's frozen, the wind.
Yeah, once, we're gonna have a thaw in the next, couple days here, but then
Right.
it looks like it's gonna freeze again for the weekend, so it should be in good shape.
Okay, so the commission is asking, so Mike Kent is requesting, that the silt fence be sufficient for the commission. He doesn't want to do anything else. He said that he got it quoted to hydro seed it.
It's,
I think the chances of
It's not gonna-
anything.
Which may or may not work.
growing,
so that's,
yeah.
I think it's a waste at
I,
this point.
yeah, I think we're okay.
Sure.
They've,
But no promises. I mean, right? Like if we suddenly, the ground suddenly thawed in the entire month of January and try it out,
right,
ask for something.
We could take another
Right.
look at it then.
Unlikely,
If
but-
it thaws out and gets warm enough, then maybe the grass will grow.
Right, maybe the grass.
right, the rise there. I will also say they've indicated that if it's warmer conditions, that they'll try to do some wintertime construction work, which could result in the removal of those piles as well.
Yeah.
So, as of now, is the commission comfortable proceeding with the silt fence as is? Does the commission have any other requests for them?
I don't have any concerns at this point based on
Yeah, based on,
discussions.
where we are now, I'm comfortable.
Does the commission want to stay with weekly reporting, move to bi-weekly? They're requesting monthly.
Let's go with should we go to reporting after a quarter-inch storm event? Is that
I think that.
what our
makes sense.
standard,
Yeah.
our standard?
That is standard
Okay.
for the winter.
So
Do we have any other concerns with the piling?
About monthly, so that we can keep our eye on what's happening with the pile.
Well, we can keep an eye on ourselves because we're by there all the time.
Right, yeah.
All of us do, it's true.
Yeah, I don't know. But if we get complaints with dusts and things, then we're, to call, I
We'll
guess.
go back at it. But I'm okay with a quarter-inch rain event and if everyone else is, and then we're always there. We're always going by it, so we could.
Majors.
And I think quarter-inch rain.
Don't go snow melting.
Quarter-inch rain events are gonna be a lot more frequent than
Yes.
once a month. So
Right,
I
right.
think that.
Probably that's the case right now.
All right, great. Okay, that's all I have for compliance updates. Moving into general business. Minutes.
There's fine to me, both sense.
Yeah, I move that we accept the minutes of the November 18th and December 2nd meetings.
Can you do them separate so I can vote on the one that?
Oh, sorry.
Which one did you read?
I was not here for December 2nd. I was here.
You can still read it and vote on it.
Can I? Oh, that's true. We decided that.
Yeah.
We can do that.
So Commissioner Weeks has a motion.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Carr.
Electric intrusive, a lot of nonsense and confusion.
But do you agree with the motion?
Yes.
Commissioner-
Is that what you're asking?
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Commissioner August,
Aye.
Commissioner Weeks,
Aye.
Commissioner Carr,
Aye.
motion carries. And then we're looking for a motion for the minutes of December 2nd.
Oh, I thought we did it together.
We did them both together?
Yeah, we did them both together.
Okay,
did
so
them
that's
both
where
together.
Right.
Then
we're good.
definitely introduced nonsense and confusion.
we're good. You're good.
All right, the ordinance is where you would expect it to be. We're making good progress. I drafted the evaluation of climate impacts section. So we've got a whole new section to discuss on tomorrow when the ordinance committee meets. So we'll report back to you sometime in the new year. Okay. So there was a fun surprise. Perhaps you all saw this already in the ongoing project, but so there was the Economic Development Bill, H 4804, which was passed by the Healy administration or was signed by the Healy administration at the end of November. But we received some guidance on it from MACC on just like last week.
Okay.
And so essentially what this is that they extended everyone's permit by 2 years automatically. So the fun surprise on your agenda is that everyone now has 2 more years.
was wondering about that. I was like, man, some of these permits.
Well, because we got some 3-year extensions
Okay.
recently, and then they get
And
another
then
2
two
years.
more. Yeah.
So one of the things about this permit is that, or this bill, is that this Permit Extension Act requires one to look at each permit, determine whether it was in effect during any point between January 1st and 2023 and 2025, and if so, determine its expiration date, then add 2 years to reach the new expiration date. Note that some permits that expired are revived.
Whoa.
Time travel.
So I didn't put this on our agenda,
Okay.
but I think the one project, and I honestly didn't even really do my due diligence to get fully updated on it, but it was 122 Pleasant Street.
All right.
My understanding is that it never happened, that the commission approved a project that never occurred.
That was
Was
when
that
it
the
was supposed to
billiard
be
hall?
the billiard hall. Yeah.
Yes.
And didn't the owner of that go away? I mean,
The owner just withdrew or didn't withdraw, just, it's never happened.
Right.
If
And I
it's-
think
if
the
we're talking
commission
billiard
just,
hall.
the commission just let it expire.
Okay.
right.
So, there's also just an administrative question. So apparently this was done per this guidance. This was done during the recession, which 2 commissioners were on the commission during the recession,
Which recessions?
the 2008 recession. So this was done in 2010 and 2012.
Oh, yes.
So,
Yoga.
so the question is, how would the commission like to, do you want me to send, so basically, how do we want to handle this administratively? Do you want me to issue corrected permits to each of our active projects as well as 122 Pleasant Street? Do we want a generic letter indicating that they have 2 more years?
I don't think we did that last time
No.
at all. I think we just,
We didn't have an agent at that time.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
but why, like, it's not our job to keep
Generic
track of
letter
people's
seems
permits
that
for 'em, even though we seem to do it.
Can we
Very
incorporate
well.
this into our planning and awareness, but otherwise just not oak sleeping dogs?
Yeah, I mean, this is what it says. Some commissions, when requested, issued confirmation letters to applicants and could do so again.
Some did and
Yeah.
others didn't.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And
Oh,
this
it's
one
just-
says others did nothing, then perhaps update their internal list of permits, which I did already do. Our agenda reflects it.
And I think that's a good thing to do.
But we can talk to Julie about it next meeting and see
Yeah.
if she has any concerns about it.
We just posted the website.
Yep, I can just put it on the website for sure. I'll add it to the
Yeah,
website.
that would be a good step.
Not make a lot of work for you.
Save and treat.
Awesome.
So do you have to post the generic letter to the website?
Do we want me to write a letter?
Yeah, I don't think that, I think it was either just post a message on the website or create a generic letter. But we could create a generic letter and post that on the website.
I will say this will mean that all of the permits within our file system are going to have incorrect dates. But the project master list will reflect the correct dates. It's just something for us to keep in mind as
Let's see
we move
what Julie
forward.
thinks about it. If she's got some concerns about it, because I don't really know what to do with it. It's not something that,
Well, I mean, last time we would just like, somebody would come in and we'd be like, oh yeah, this, but we'd be like, oh, this permit's, oh no, actually, what is it? Is this the new?
yes,
thing?
so it's,
We were not.
we did have agents then, so we didn't
Yeah,
have the ability to do a lot of this, so.
just had chairs with encyclopedic memories.
I'm all about letting them be accountable for their own permits. And if they look like they're expiring, they contact you.
Right.
And they say, oh, our
And then
permit's expiring. And then you say, oh, actually, you have 2 more years. But that's on them. No.
Let's run it by Julie next meeting just to see if she's got any major concerns about it.
So is
Okay.
this a one-time thing?
It's a one-time thing.
For the 3rd time.
Yeah, multiple times. but-
Yeah, I don't know. It's called an act relative to strengthening Massachusetts economic leadership. I'm not sure why the
I mean,
governor
I-
decided to do it, but
Well, I think before it was because of the recession. Now it's probably because of COVID.
Sure,
So
that's
unless we have
possible.
like another pandemic.
That we don't know about yet.
Right. Okay, that sounds good, but I will put something on the website. I will say it already came in handy with, One Ferry Street Tract One.
I saw that.
Oh,
They were expired, and then they sent me their request, and I was like, well, the commission's gonna meet after your expiration, and then they sent me a letter 3 days later, and they were like, we saw what the governor did, we're fine. I was like,
Perfect.
you're fine.
Yeah, okay. Well,
So moving forward, can the commission, though, I mean, this won't be relevant for 2 more years, but can the commission extend a permit after it's expired?
You have to get the request within
Yeah, they're supposed to
30 days
request it.
prior to the
30 days.
Yeah,
expiration.
we've
And if
we've never extended something without a request being in front of us.
Right.
I believe.
Oh, that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Oh, have we? No.
You have not. Okay, all right, well then these One Ferry Street Tract One was saved by the bell here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, moving down the general business list. You have your new schedule, it's in front of you. Did any commissioner note, any issues in it?
Oh, there was just a couple things that were saying that as we get closer, we may push the dates around. So, but
Yes.
it looks like the first 6 meetings are in pretty good shape.
Standard,
Yeah.
yep, for sure. There's a spare copy if you'd like one. The starred ones are the ones out of order, or excuse me, not out of order, that are not on the typical second and fourth Monday meeting schedule. And the submittal deadlines and the legal ad publication are all good, all appropriate,
Mhm.
as well
Line
as,
up with the
yes,
dates.
exactly. Cool, okay. The next note I had for the commissioners is, that MACC just announced a bunch more of their winter and spring fundamentals courses. I imagine this this applies to some of you, not all of you, but this is the schedule. I included a screenshot of it on the open projects page. Do you all get MACC's emails?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
I
do.
have about 3 newsletters behind.
The sooner you can register and then send me the invoice, ideally bundled, right? Like if you're going to do several of this fundamentals
Mhm.
cycle, bundled invoices are better.
Yeah.
MACC, understands city payment structures, so they're somewhat accommodating, but the sooner the better.
Okay, and did you say you posted this where?
But it's on the ongoing project updates file. And the city, of course, covers training. If you folks find other trainings you'd like to do, the city can also cover them. Let me know. Okay, just a note, which feels a little less relevant given what the weather we've had in the last little bit, but we are in a level 3 drought that was declared relatively recently. It has implications for our perennial streams, as the commission's aware, as well as, this was new to me, I didn't realize that ponds, you can't delineate a pond during a drought
Okay.
because it's a square foot question.
Sure.
So a pond can be under 10,000 square feet during drought and still be a pond.
I see. Okay.
So just something to be aware of. I posted this drought status to the website. I think I'll do that when we have drought statuses. When we're in drought.
Is this relevant to the, what was it? Holly,
Holly,
and
the ANRAD.
Colorado.
So they did their field work prior to the drought status, prior to the drought being declared. So it is not relevant to their field work. Their field work is still valid. And we requested that those submitting to the RFP determine a timeline that they believe is doable for their delineation work. I think the commission is willing to consider a spring timeline for that delineation, but some wetland scientists may believe they could do a winter delineation.
Doing soil tests.
Doing soil tests, right.
I have water in my basement. I think the water table has risen enough to.
It's coming back. Yeah. Yeah, as of when we had this drought call, which was like a week ago prior to the rains of the last week, we were I learned that we were in an 8 to 11 inch deficit since August, rain deficit. But then we got like
Since
three.
just 3 months? Wow.
Since August, yeah, this drought rose fast and
Right.
became severe relatively quickly. And I would say they lagged in calling it, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we got like 3 inches last week,
Yeah.
so we're
Yeah.
slowly shipping back. Okay, and the last general business I have for you is a Wetlands Protection Act exempt activity. We got one of these in the mail. Eversource is maintaining their vegetation right away.
Where's this?
Yeah.
Here, I'll show you this map. It's cuts through the whole city.
Oh, really? Okay. It's just a notification. They're exempt. They're
Exactly.
And what are they doing? Invasive species?
They are clearing their
Clearing
right
their-
away,
yeah.
which is a 30. What is it? This is their zone. The wire zone extending 25 to 35 feet outside the wires.
which they've done in the past.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And this is the exemption.
Does it say when?
They don't tell us when. This is for the entire year of 2025.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Can you scroll down to the map again? please?
Yeah.
So that essentially goes from the Connecticut, oh, and then it's where the power lines go along the flanks of Mount Tom.
Yeah.
So, okay. One thing I've noticed and appreciate that they do is they lay down ribbing so that their heavy equipment doesn't dig into the soil.
Yeah.
So it really minimizes the damage that the equipment is going to do.
I believe they're right. They're required to follow BMPs.
Yeah.
Any part of this letter the commission would like to see further?
Fine.
It's generic. I mean, it's just what they've done in the past. And unless there's something that you saw stands out.
Looks
Yeah,
standard.
it looks standard, yeah.
Just a note in case a commissioner hears about this from someone else in the city or from someone on Pascomic.
Mhm.
I went out too close to where this INRAD was done with like a volunteer with Pascomic, who was concerned about the DPW easement through there. So it's actually quite close to this, but it's not the Eversource easement. It's a little to the to the left of there. We took a look at the easement and the mowing that had been done. I think his primary concern is the hope to do some plantings in there and some invasives management as part of Pascomic, but with concern that DPW, given that they can mow their easement, will mow his
Mow it.
plantings.
Sure, okay.
Wants to do like pollinator plantings. So anyways, I went out there and took a look for him, and from my perspective, it appeared that DPW was following their easement. It was approximately the right size. They were mowing within their area.
All right.
Where was it?
This is right along it's within the White Brook Conservation Area. So it's an easement on Pascomic Land Trust property. So, I think utility easements can be a little jarring because they are mowing
Right.
and sometimes in wetlands, right?
Right.
They're clearing ways
Yeah.
to catch
Well,
basins.
that's
in
why they have
wetlands.
exemptions to deal with their.
Right.
Right, exactly. So I referred this concerned resident to DPW directly if he wants to have further
Okay.
conversations with them about it, but it's not a Wetlands Protection
Sure,
Act
okay.
issue.
Is there gonna be anything in the ordinance? Or there can't be, because it's like,
If it's exempt under law, I
Yeah,
don't know what we can do.
can't.
we could create more problems.
Well, fun.
Enough fun.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? That was Mr. Weeks. Roll call, Commissioner Buttrick.
Aye.
Commissioner August. Commissioner Weeks. Aye. Commissioner Carr.
I.
Motion carries.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.